Here's my review of Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. I think that this movie might be my favorite movie of the year, and I think that it's probably one of, if not the best comic book movie of all time. I think that this movie has one of the most interesting stories as basically, as everyone knows, Spider-Man always experiences loss, every version of it. And kind of like figure out that in this movie, Miles Morales, who, when he was bitten by the radioactive spider in the first movie, that spider was not actually supposed to bite him. And since there can only be one Spider-Man per universe, that means that his main Spider-Man, his main Peter Parker, had to die, and that it was his fault in the first place. And we find out that Gwen kind of knew the whole time, and there's like a lot of like really dramatic moments like that. And I thought that this movie was just amazing. And you can make the argument that this is even more of Gwen's movie than it is Miles, because there's a lot of dramatic beats with her story, as it basically starts off with her and you see how she lost her dad, or well, how she saved her dad and how she lost her version of Peter Parker and how that kind of affected her, and how her dad basically tried to arrest her when he found out that she was Spider-Woman in her universe. And then she's basically almost kicked out of the house. And it's just like so sad because it's like it just felt so real. And there's just amazing animation with the way her world looks and the stylization of the colors, as you can see. And images like this just prove why animation should never like be looked at down upon, because you could do beautiful images like this. This image with Gwen is just amazing. And the Spot is also a really interesting villain, as he feels like more of a side villain, but like he's only like there's a running joke that he's such a goofy villain. But he was like in the first movie, actually, he's the guy that Miles threw the bagel at, and it's just a little thing like that you'll never notice. And like it actually makes perfect sense because Miles accidentally ruined his life with the collider, which turned him into this. And his powers are really silly, but he's actually pretty scary. Also, there's a cool cameo with Mrs. Chen from the Venom universe, so that kind of is really confusing, but it was pretty cool to see. And there's just so many things to love, like from the memes like this to Spider-Man India just having a completely unique personality in a really beautiful world. And also the punk rock version of Spider-Man, who's British, and he's got such like a funny attitude, which is so great. And Spider-Woman is awesome as well. She's fighting when she's pregnant, and she was also really fun. And Spider-Man 2099 is also a really intimidating villain. He's basically trying to stop Peter since he was never actually supposed to get bit by that spider. And since somebody has to die, he has to let Miles' father die. And at the end of the movie, Miles gets transported to a different version where he's actually the Prowler. Also, little clips like this where she snaps and says, "Mira, eso es imposible," is great.